Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. And now we will proceed to the next agenda with symposium. The utilization of national assessment and data to promote evidence-based policy making. This symposium will be led by our host. He is a lead technical expert at ACER Indonesia and a lecturer at several prestigious universities in Indonesia. With extensive experience in psychometrics research and test development at both national and international levels, he is the author of widely used psychological tests in Indonesia, including the test of learning ability, comprehensive cognitive ability test, general cognitive ability test, and multi-factor personality inventory. His research interests encompass test theory, construction, adaptation, item response theory, and structural equation modeling. He is the founder and head of Psychometric Assessment and Evaluation Research Center at the Faculty of Psychology, Pajajaran University, and the chairperson of the Indonesia Psychometric Association, APSIMETRI. He served as the lead psychometrician for the Joint Entrance Selection of State Universities Institute, LTMPT, in Indonesia in 2016, and currently holds the position of Manager of Test Development and Scoring. He holds 2 master's degrees in psychology and education, as well as a PhD in psychometrics research and evaluation methods from the University of Massachusetts, Amherst, USA. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome host for this symposium, Mr. Urip Purwono, PhD. Joining the host, we would like to invite also all presenter, Dr. Asrijanty, Head of Center for Educational Assessment, Dr. Rahmawati, Head of Educational Testing Management Agency, Dr. Irsyad Zamjani, Director Center for Education Standards and Policy, Minister of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of Republic of Indonesia, Mr. Santoso, Executive Director of Article 33, and Mr. Rob Randall, Inovasi Program Advisor. And now I give the floor to the host.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It was a very generous introduction, and it's an honor for me to chair these sessions with very interesting topics. Just before lunch, we have keynotes talking about national assessment in the perspective of assessing progress and impact. And now we are going to take that topic further by with 5 distinguished speakers that are going to speak about and to talk about the utilizations of the assessment, national assessment result. We heard before that the national assessment provide insight to student learning outcomes, school climate, educational equity across different regions and social groups in Indonesia. In this session, we're going to explore how the national assessment data has been leveraged to support different areas of policymaking. And to that, we have 4 very well experienced and distinguished speakers with us. Dr. Asrijanty is next to me, and then Dr. Rahmawati, and then Dr. Santoso, and Dr. Irsyad Zamjani, and our very right-hand corner is Rob Randall from innovation, innovasi program advisors. Now we're going to start with our first presenters in this symposium. Allow me to introduce Dr. Asrijanty further, that are going to talk first to us. Dr. Asrijanty is the head of the Center for Educational Assessment since 2020 until today. Before serving as the head of the Center for Educational Assessment, she held several positions at Pusmendik, that's the center, including head of the Analysis and Academic Assessment System Division, 2014-2015, head of the Academic Assessment Division, 2015 to 2019, and head of Instrument Development and Item Bank Division, 2019-2020. Dr. Asrijanty holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from Gajah Mada University, a Master's of Art in Social Research and Evaluations from the School of Education, Murdoch University, Australia, and a PhD degree from the School of Education, University of Western Australia. Without further ado, Dr. Asrijanty, we are looking forward to your presentations.
Thank you, Pak Urip, for the nice introduction. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. This morning, we have heard from Pak Nino about national assessment, how then it's related with other programs. Please allow me to continue this elaboration of national assessment. Ini. Okay. 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 So this is just to remind us again that national assessment is one or part of Merdeka Belajar. In fact, national assessment is the first episode in Merdeka Belajar. We call it this transformation Merdeka Belajar, and we have 26 episodes. That include like transformation in selection university, curriculum, in curriculum Merdeka, guru penggerak, and other things. So national assessment is the first episode. Pak Nino has mentioned about, okay, I think this one, right? Okay, sorry. Okay, I think I'll miss this. Okay, backnya ini. Okay, sorry everyone. Okay, so Pak Nino has talked a lot about student profile, Pancasila profile, and then I'll add two more competencies that become the standard of graduate competencies that we call it mathematical literacy and language literacy. Later in national assessment, these two competencies that will be assessed as a student achievement. National assessment is evaluation program at school level. So this is already emphasis in the morning. So this is not evaluation for individual students and not for individual teacher or principal. Although all the participants contributing in data, but the report in school level. So the purpose is to have the data, comprehensive data, so schools can improve in learning process in school management. So that's why this national assessment is conducted or administered for all schools in primary and secondary schools. So the numbers that so national assessment for all primary and secondary school. This is including madrasah and sekolah pendidikan kesetaraan as well. So we have around, for each year, we administer this each year. So the sample students is around 7 million. So for primary, we have 30 students for grade 5, and then grade 8 and 11 in junior and senior secondary is for each school the maximum 45 students. So this student administer for reading literacy, math literacy, survey of character, survey of learning environment. The AN for students are administered in standardized. So they have a schedules, fixed schedule, they are supervised, they have a certain time, and then in the room that has been designated. Then all are computerized based. This is actually the challenge for us, especially this AN started in 2021 when the pandemic just began to reset. And then for primary schools, they haven't have the experience conducting standardized tests using computer. While for primary school, we have more than 100,000 schools. And then if you can imagine the demographic, the geographical area, and as well as the infrastructure is very limited. But the school are very enthusiastic in doing this national assessment. And then so the participation rate in the first year, 2021, we have 96% from all schools participated. And then it increased in 2021, 1% by 1%, and then 2023 by 1%. In addition to students, we also have the participant from teachers and principal. They are administered only for survey of learning environment. So this is actually major factors that affecting learning directly and indirectly. I think Pak Nino has give the idea, for example, the quality of learning process in school, how teacher provide feedback, how teacher teach, and then and also indirectly is about school climate, safety, inclusivitas, all are measured in survey of learning environment. But for teacher and principals, administer not in a standardized one. So they have a flexible time. They can fill that instrument in more than one sitting. They can have, for example, 15 minutes and then continue in other time. That's okay. And also they can have a computer, tablet, or cell phone. While for student, it only can be accessed by computer or laptop. I think we will go back to we have discussed this morning, and then so this is the one that I just mentioned about what measure in national assessments. So when we see actually all these component or competency or factor that we measure in national assessment, it's so what actually are important in schools. So literacy in math and in language, in this case is we limit in reading, and also other factor like character and what how teacher teach, and then how the principal did the leadership, and then school climate. So this is give the signal to the school. The important is not only cognitive, but also non-cognitive factors. So national assessment provide model what is the school look like, the ideal schools, because we measure all the relevant factors. I'm sorry, why? The national assessment result are conveyed through education scorecard platform. We call it rapor pendidikan. But in this rapor pendidikan, not only present the national assessment result, but also other data. For example, about regarding the certified teacher and other information. So national assessment contribute about 60% of the report raport pendidikan. We have three rapor pendidikan, school level, district or local government level, and then also we have a national one. So this for local government give the overview, reflect the condition educational services in the region, and also achievement in meeting educational service standard or standar pelayanan minimal. Because according to one regulation that's internal affairs, that local government has to have met the standar pelayanan minimal. And then one or some of them is in literacy and numeracy that resulted from national assessment. So this give the pressure for local government to improve their quality of education, because this is mandated from the regulation. Okay, another 5 minutes. Okay, and then school, we know there's a school are expected to follow up this end result, as well as of course the local government. So this is the national assessment provide a feedback or tools how to improve the education, quality of education. This is how what we have done. We ministry prepare, assist school and local government to follow up this end result, the national assessment result. And then we have this in attachment in the rapor pendidikan, so they know what have to be done. For example, they have to like identify what's the strength, what's the weakness, and then reflection, and then make a plan, and then implementation. This is just to show you all what have been done by the local government and also school in following up the national assessment result. In fact, in the ministry, we have a task force that designated specifically to assist to follow up this rapor pendidikan. We call it this Project Management Office of OFO. Okay, this is just to show you illustration what school principal and then the head of education Pekalongan district office what they have done following up this national assessment result. So, for example, they build a team to follow up, and then they assist school how to interpret the national assessment result, and then what have to be done. Okay. This is the national assessment result nationally, the report. And this is the result in 2 years, 2021, 2022. The next one, 2023, will be launched. The result will be launched next weeks. So we can see that there is some improvement in literacy and numeracy in 1 year. Perhaps this, maybe we can see that perhaps the baseline in 2021, there's contributed with the situation at the time when the pandemic, and then we lost the learning for almost about 2 years time. This is to follow up the national assessment result. In addition to advocating to local government, assisting school, in ministry, we also launch, we call it this buku bacaan bermutu, good quality material, that this is already also mentioned by Pak Nino. And also in Kampus Mengajar, that we as a university student to help teacher, assisting teacher in school, so that literacy and numeracy will be strengthened. So this is illustration what we have done to follow up the national assessment result. I think time is up, Pak.
Okay.
Or it has, yeah, okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Asrijanty. Very important topics, but according to my notes, actually, the committee only gave us about 10 minutes to each of the speakers. So for the next speaker, I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier, but our second speaker will be Dr. Rahmawati, the head of Educational Testing Management Agency. Dr. Rahmawati is the head of Educational Testing Management Agency of the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of Indonesia. Prior to the assignment, Dr. Rahmawati has accumulated an impressive career in the Center for Educational Assessment, Educational Standard, Curriculum and Assessment Agency, the Ministry of Education. She earned her doctoral degree with the highest honor in the period less than 3 years, or about 35 months, to be exact, with a dissertation entitled Modifications of the Robust Z Methods, Test Score Equating, and Item Drift Detections. Dr. Rahmawati also has I have an additional paper of her chronological career starting in 2009, earned a master's degree in research and evaluation methods at the University of Massachusetts. 2014, a doctoral degree in research and education as evaluation at the State University of Yogyakarta, Indonesia. And also, she was a visiting scholar at the IRI Academic Nanyang Institute of Education. And 2023, She's appointed as the head of Educational Testing Management Agency, and also holding a visiting scholar at the Cambridge University. Dr. Rahmawati, we are looking forward for your presentation.
Thank you, Pak Urip. Good afternoon, everybody. So what I would like to discuss to you is something very technical and very specific, but it might tell us, everyone here, that we not only collect the data and information from the national assessment, but from the national assessment, we also make feedback to our method, to our system, to our methodology to enhance the accuracy of our national assessment results. So I would like to present about multi-stage adaptive testing in national assessment in Indonesia. So actually, we have a huge challenges for national assessment. What are they? These are the numbers that we conduct every year since 2021. It's not only increasing, but also more complicating because we need to present the trend over years and we need to measure the growth over students and over schools, over district and over province. We also need to make sure that every school can conduct national assessment, especially for the elementary schools, because we have more than 230,000 technicians or proctors, where in elementary school, we don't have IT teacher. So we need to make sure that our system is as simple as possible, as easy as possible, that every teacher, without having any IT background, can do the testing in the school. Another challenge is that not only the number, this is the result for the first year of administration. We have a very varied color, from red to like orange, yellow, green, and dark green, which means that we have a huge gap from one school to another school, from one district to another district. And this gap is as big as two different distribution. Let me try from here. So this is two districts. One district in East Indonesia and another district from center of Indonesia, not overlapping each one to each other. So this is like a very different distribution among districts in Indonesia. So if we want to be efficient and effective on conducting the assessment, we need to think how to assess that not can be very difficult to the poorest group, but also not can be very easy for the best group. If we test everybody with the same test form, that it can be very easy for the one in the central of Indonesia, but it can be very difficult for the one from the east of Indonesia. So what we did is we do the multi-stage adaptive testing. Why multi-stage? What not computerized adaptive testing? First, we're not reporting in individual student. We're reporting at the school level, and we just report the average. Because we report the average, we need to make sure to give information in one content, in what cognitive level, in what context that the student can do and the student cannot do. So it's very important to maintaining the content balance. If we do only like pure CAT, computerized adaptive testing, it can be only 5 questions and then stop. And only by 5 questions, we cannot really assessing about the content, about the cognitive level, and also about the context of the test item. And the other one, the most important thing is the infrastructure support. If one question and then we decided which other questions will come out, we can present to the student, it's very demanding on the infrastructure. So we need time, not every item and then doing the algorithm, but maybe from each pool of item, we do the algorithm, so the server is not really hardening in processing all the data. An easy stopping rule. We can say to the teacher that every student will get 36 items. So they don't get panic if only 5 items and then stop. They don't get panic if, oh, why all my students here got 35, while my neighbor school only got like 7 up to 8 items. So it's easier to communicate to all the school, to the all school principal, and it's better for us the post analysis. So how we do it? We do it in 3 stages. In each stages, there are 12 items. So the first one, we call it like the core stage. Everybody get like a similar level of difficulty. And then from the 12 items, we decided whether it get harder or it get easier. And in the second stage, we also calculating if they will get hardest or the medium one or they get the easiest one. So this is what we've done in the multi-stage adaptive testing. Oh, I forget to click on my, oh no, sorry. So this is how we distribute the items between block. We have core block, hardest, easier, easiest, and medium. If we say hard, it's not only hard items. Actually, we have medium items and hard items. If we talk about the hardest, it's not only the hard one, but we have more item in hard difficulty level, but we also have item in medium level. And we maintain that for each block, for example, for literacy grade A, we have information text and we have literary text. So we maintain that in each block, there are some question on information text, but also some question on literary text. And we also balancing on the context and also the cognitive level to make sure that across all students in one school, we already assess all the content, all the cognitive level, and also all the context that we want to test it in the national assessment. But we have problem. What our problem? This is what we got from the 2021 administration. So if we think that we have, let me get back to the previous one. So we have core 5 blocks core, and we have 5 hard. It means that actually we have 1 out of 5 probability that the student from the core and that success will see another block in hard one. But if we look at the number that we implement in 2021, the core subject, we have 356,000 students, up to 358,000 students. Means that first one, we randomly, the core blocks to student, it balanced in one class. But after the one student, like all the group of the student get success, they need to 1 out of 5 of the harder blocks. But if we see here, the range is too wide, from 150,000 up to 248,000. Means the selection of the next blocks is not really balanced. Some unbalanced random selection happen, and it will not make us easy to make the post analysis on the level of cognitive and level of difficulty. So we improved this year on this scheme of the multi-stage adaptive testing, that we do the multi-stage adaptive testing, but we already designed the path of the MSAT. So rather than giving alternatives of harder, we don't give alternatives to harder. There are only 1 block of harder. There are only 1 block of hardest. There is only 1 block of easier and 1 block of easiest, but we do package all the path like one by one and randomly assign the path. So if we have 45 students in one school taking the national assessment and we already have 9 paths, we make sure that in one school, there are 5 students getting PET 1, another 5 students getting PET 2, another 5 students getting, and so on. So we balancing the randomly of block system in MS80, but packaging all the MS80 into 9 paths or more. But this is the scenario. And we applied this year in 2024 test administration. And what we do, we can have more item for linking because the linking no longer in item level, but already in block level. And for all the hardest block, we can have linking into 11th grade student administration. While in the easiest block, we have linking to the 5th grade student of administration. So this is just like a small thing that we improve from the method and the technology and also from the system to make sure that the national assessment not only to collect the data, but more and more be more efficient, be more effective and reflective what our student can do and what our student cannot do. Thank you. I give you hands to Prof.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rahmawati. Now we come to our third speakers, which is Bapak Irsyad Zamjani. Irsyad Zamjani, PhD, is the head of the Center for Education Standard and Policy, the MoECRT. In 2019, Dr. Zamjani was appointed as a junior expert researcher and subsequently became a head of the Cultural Research Divisions at the Policy Research Center, Research and Development Agency, Ministry of Education and Cultures. In 2020, he was promoted to the position of intermediate expert researcher and was later assigned as the acting head of the Policy Research Centers. Following the establishment of the Center for Educational Standard and Policy in 2021, Dr. Irsyad was appointed as the acting head of the center up to his official appointment at the head as the head of the center in January 2024. Dr. Irsyad, we're looking forward to your presentations.
Thank you, Pak Uri, for your kind introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Shanti Shanti Om. Salam sejahtera untuk semuanya. I was assigned to share some of the analysis of the national assessment data provided by Bu Asrijanty and Bu Rahmawati to our center. So as you can see from Bu Asrijanty and Bu Rahmawati's presentation, preparing and designing the assessment is a lot more complicated than analyzing its results. So, so I hope my presentation is not, not as complicated as Bu Rahmawati. And thank you for Pusmendik for sharing the data. If you came to Pak Nino's presentation earlier today, he already mentioned about the Merdeka Belajar, its philosophy, goals, and approaches. One of the things that he mentioned about Merdeka Belajar was that when the policy came to play to address a learning crisis, the focus is not only on learning improvement, but also the learning equity. So to make it learning achievement equal to all students. So our national assessment results show that our learning achievement has been progressing since the pandemic. We have gradually recovered. If you see from the chart here, back in 2021, we only 50% of our students achieving minimum competency in literacy, and only, oh, I don't show here the numeracy. In numeracy, it's only 1/3 who are achieving the minimum competency. But as the time goes by, after 2 years, we can see here there is an improvement. So more than 60% of our students are achieving minimum competency in 2023, and I think it's the same for the primary and junior secondary students. The question is, does the achievement happen equally to all students, in all students? The answer is sadly no. Yeah, we still have disparities across regions. Sorry, maybe my map here is not as good as Bu Rahmawati's map earlier. But if you can see here in the left chart, this is the distribution of district with the percentage of students achieving minimum competency in literacy in 2021. So, those living in the eastern part of the country, for example, in Papua, as you can see there, so they seem to have lower performance, yeah. But even so, the learning progression is shared among districts, although at a different pace. You can see it in the right chart here. We can see that almost all regions show positive improvement, except in several parts of the country. When more specifically comparing between highest and lowest performing regions, we can see a stark disparity here. There is around 80% point gap between the highest and lowest performing districts, meaning that if there is a district with, say, 90% achievement, we have another district with only 10% achievement. So the gap is quite big, yeah. But again, the trend, if you see the difference between years from 2021 up to 2023, the gap is slowly decreasing over the years. The case is also the same for other regional groups like urban versus rural, and also between the remote versus non-remote areas. Actually, this is not just remote, it's called this like daerah tertinggal, yeah. I don't know what is it called, maybe disadvantaged regions, yeah. If we can see here that the gap is still there, yeah, the learning gap between regions, between rural and urban, and also between the advantaged and disadvantaged region. We can also here see the gap, between socioeconomic status. There is also gap. And again, the trend are towards the positive end. The message here is actually clear that we want to have a balance between progress and equity. And many of our districts are able to make it. The chart showing that we can see here is showing that district with a high percentage in minimum competency achievement in 2021 tend to maintain equity in the next 2 years. So there are some cases in like Kota Malang, Kota Cimahi, and Kota Salatiga that we have highlighted there. So these districts, they can improve their learning, but also improve their equity among schools within the districts. And how have Merdeka Belajar initiatives played its role in shaping this state of learning? So I will use Kurikulum Merdeka as a case of point to examine this question. As you know, and maybe Pak Nino has mentioned earlier, that Kurikulum Merdeka, if we can summarize, it comes with 3 essential features, and they are very much aligned with the objective of addressing learning disparity among students. The first feature is simplicity. This is the curriculum is actually a streamlined curriculum, a less ambitious one, focusing on teaching essential skills in a greater depth. This will elevate teachers as well as students' burden of mastering everything. And the second feature is flexibility. This is where differentiated teachings comes to play, to make sure that not a single student, especially from disadvantaged backgrounds, is left behind. And the last feature is relevance, socio-emotional skills, character education are taught using real experience, using a project-based learning called Profil Pelajar Pancasila. What is it called? The Pelajar Pancasila profile that Pak Nino mentioned earlier, yeah. So we use some projects to achieve or to make students acquiring the characters of Pancasila students. So the initial implementation of Kurikulum Merdeka was not mandatory except for several schools we call Sekolah Penggerak that have piloted the curriculum since 2021. But the adoption rate as of now has reached 80% of the school population. And the national assessment data show that schools implementing Kurikulum Merdeka have better learning progress compared to those with existing Kurikulum 2013, yeah, the old curriculum. And the longer the implementation, the better the progress. So this applies for literacy as well as numeracy. As you can see here, the yellow chart here is the schools implementing K2013, yeah, 2013 curriculum, and the blue chart here, the blue bar are representing the schools implementing Kurikulum Merdeka by duration. Yeah, in some schools are implementing for 1 year, 2 years, and 3 years. For school implementing for 3 years, they experience better learning progression compared to others. And now we can talk about equity. When we look closer at different regional or school characteristics, we can find those from disadvantaged groups have benefited more from the new curriculum. Although the learning gap, yeah, between disadvantaged and non-disadvantaged areas are still evident, the learning progress of schools implementing Kurikulum Merdeka in daerah tertinggal, in disadvantaged area, surpassed the achievements of school using K2013 in non-disadvantaged area. So you can compare, for example, the dark blue bar in the left chart and the yellow, yeah, the yellow bar in the right chart. So the dark blue in the left is school using Kurikulum Merdeka for 3 years, and the yellow in the right is school using K13. Yeah, so the gap is quite big. And also despite, this is comparing between socioeconomic status, despite starting from a lower initial score in National Assessment 2021, schools from lower SES that have implemented Curriculum Merdeka for at least 2 years were able to match and even surpass the achievement of school from middle and upper SES. And this is my last slide. In summary, yes, inequality still persists after Merdeka Belajar, and we are happy to learn about that, so we know where our policy should be targeted to. And as the data show earlier, we understand that in most cases, learning inequalities are also rooted in resource disparity. Just like Curriculum Merdeka, with its differentiation approach, we apply the same principle to many of our policies. To narrow the gap, we have to support those who need it most, while appreciating the high performers to keep motivated. This is 2 examples of the asymmetric policies that we adopted to help the most needed and to support and to reward those who perform better. I think that's all from me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Pak Irsyad. Now, our 4th speakers, which is Pak Santoso, the Executive Directors of Article 33. Pak Santoso is the Executive Director of Article 33 in Indonesia, where he heads research and policy development in education, finance, transparency, and accountability. With extensive experience working with both government and NGOs, Santoso has significantly contributed to improving educational system, including his work with the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology. He has also served as an education specialist for the World Bank for 13 years, and focusing on education finance, teachers development, and public expenditure review. Pak Santoso holds a master's degree in economics from the University of Indonesia and a bachelor's degree in regional economics from Diponegoro University, Central Java. Pak Santoso will present his thought on using the national assessment data to support policy planning by the district government. Pak Santoso.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity. First of all, I would like to say thanks to Ministry of Education for creating or introducing the national assessment and also education report card here, because we as a non-government research institution can use this rich and comprehensive data, especially to support the governments and also subnational government to do the research, developing policy, and also creating and support the program in local government. As you know that education system in Indonesia is decentralized, and more than 50% of the budget, national budget, transferred to local government. So local government is very important. There are game changers in education transformation. So it is important to partners, like Article 33, development partners, to support local government to make sure that any transformation that maybe Pak Nino already explained before is also worked in the area, in the regional area. So Pak Irsyad is already present the research on the national issues, especially in Curriculum Merdeka. So here I would like to share our works in one district. We actually do this for many districts. We already support government more than 10 years and work with many districts in Indonesia. So today I would like to share our experience working with subnational government, especially in Kota Pasuruan. So Kota Pasuruan is in East Java. Wait. Okay. This? Oh, this one. Okay. Yeah, it's East Java. And working with district government sometimes is challenging. Yeah. In this case, for example, the budget, education budget is limited. It's only because the total budget in Pasuruan is only like 1 trillion rupiahs, and the education budget, of course, is 20% from that, and half of this is come from the national government, which transfer. So, but this is for us, this is an opportunity because with limited budget, how we can use it appropriately to make sure that this has a big impact on education transformation, especially in improving education quality in Pasuruan. So what we have done, we so first we glad that Pak Nino said that this education report card data will be publicly accessible. But not, I think it's not yet, right, today. But what we do is, with the Pasuruan, we discuss with the education office, and then we trying to get the data, because the only entity that can access the data now is the education office. So we ask the data, the Excel sheet data, the whole data of the education report card in Pasuruan, and then we do the analysis, and then we identify the problems, priority the problems, creating the recommendation and the activities, and then we advocate them to put the recommendation, the activities to the budget plan. So if you know that usually in Indonesia, in August and September, August until September is the time where education office, the local government, plan the budget, yeah, for the next year, for the 2025. So this is the critical period. So we're trying to put all the recommendation, or some of the recommendation, to the education budget plan. So hopefully some of the recommendations are already there in the budget plan, and hopefully will in the next year the plan will be implemented, and then we can see whether this give impact or not through the next education report card. So we can see the gap, the improvement of the score as the impact of the intervention. So I would like to share our result. Maybe I will do it fast. Yeah, it's already 3 minutes. Okay, let's see. Okay, so using because this is actually a very rich and comprehensive data. Yeah, you can find the results, literacy, numeracy, character. You also can find the score of the process, yeah, like learning process, teachers, school leadership, school climates, and also about many things, yeah, about the governance, something like that. So this is just some part of the finding, yeah, I will share to you. For example, this is about the literacy, numeracy, and also character finding. We see that Pasuruan is good enough actually in the achievement, gitu. But we can see there are some challenges. Some of the student is still in below minimum competency in literacy and also in numeracy and on character. So we go deep in level 2, yeah, we usually say the indicators in education report as level 1, like literacy, numeracy, character, and then we can go deep on the level 2. For example, in this data, they said that on numeracy, for example, the problem in Pasuruan is in algebra and also geometry. So that also we can go deep on the character. We can find where is the challenges in Pasuruan. We can see that maybe the lowest indicator is on critical reasoning and also creativity. Something like that. We can go deep also because this is a district level report. They only provide data on early child education, elementary school, and also junior secondary. Yeah. In province level, you can find senior secondary and also vocational education. So we also look at the early child education. We can see that still many early child education that the accreditation is lower than B accreditation, meaning that this is the proxy of the quality of the services of the early child education entity. And also we can see the teachers. So there are still some teachers, 10% teachers that not have a bachelor degree. We go further on other issues, yeah, related to learning quality, and then school climate, yeah. And the additional for this is that so education report card, if you're not really familiar with that, not only report the result of national assessment, but also they put additional data, for example, on participation for access. Yeah. So we also do some analysis on that. This is the result on the participation. It's like the national pattern. Yeah. Usually the challenge is on early child education and also senior secondary. We do some analysis on that. We also trying to find the causes of the out of schools, and then we create recommendation on that. Something like that. So just to sum up on my presentation, that then we do some recommendation. We use what we call school improvement framework that already created by Ministry of Education, and then we put some recommendation on each of that in how to improve learning, and then how to improve the teacher competency, the school leadership, and also the school climate. Yeah, we do some detailed recommendation, and then we because Indonesia, if the budget plan, the type of activities already set up in Ministry of Home Affairs regulation. So we're trying to find this recommendation from the study to match with the list of menu on the local government budget plan. So we put it, match on it, and then we propose it to the local government to education office, and then we agree on that. Yeah, we discuss, we agree on that. Maybe any input from them with discussion with stakeholder also, and then we agree with okay, let's put these activities and then put the budget on that. Yeah, we try to make sure that all the priority have the significant budget. Yeah, because some observation from Ministry of Education, sometime local education office already list the activity, but the budget is not really significant. So just put it some budget on that. So we try to make sure on that. I think that's all for my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pak Santoso. Dear participants, distinguished guests, at the opening of this ICAL, you may remember that we hit an instrument, the gamelan instrument. That gamelan instrument was called gong. And the gong is usually function as a signal of a certain cycle in the whole partiture of the gamelan, the music. Now we're going to have the gong of the symposium that will be presented of Bob Randalls. Rob Randalls is currently the director for the Rob Randall Group that established to provide education consultancy, research, and project leadership services focused on improving educational outcome for students to national and state Australian government education organization and or to for-profit and not-for-profit organizations. Prior to that, he was the CEO of the Australian Curriculum Assessment and Reporting Authority for almost 7 years from 2012 to 2017, in which he was assigned earlier as the General Manager, Curriculum and Deputy CEO. With a career in education that spanned over 40 years, Rob is currently and previously assigned as the committee members in various education boards, including the ongoing role in the Math Pathway Education Advisory Board, the OECD 2030 Informal Working Group, and is also the Australian India Education Council member. We are looking forward for the gong of this symposium.
Terima kasih. Thank you, everybody. I've got the last shift here and working through, and hopefully I'll get through and we can have some questions. Firstly, so just following on from all the others, that's the presentation, the topic that I'm working on. Similarly, I just want to start by acknowledging the work that I've done in Indonesia is as a member of the Innovasi team. And so the perspectives that I'm bringing here are maybe a more focused one in terms of the areas that Innovasi's been working in. We're all having trouble with the technique. Oh, okay. So just a brief ad. Innovasi is a partnership program between the Australian government and the Indonesian government, and certainly from the times I've been involved, it is a very strong collaboration, focus on improving education policies and practices, and the focus of the program is in the primary years. In the last phase, it was focused in the early first 2 or 3 years of schooling. In this current round, it extends that attention to up to grade 6. The program currently working in 25 districts across 6 provinces. As many who are maybe new to Indonesia, but each time I come back, you look at the numbers across that. You know, I work in a country where there are, 8 states and territories, but most of them would fit in a couple of these provinces in terms of numbers and everything else. So 25 districts, 6 provinces. I think some of the features of the program and some of these build upon what Pak Nino talked about this morning in terms of partnerships and it not all being done from the centre. The focus is on local solutions, and again, that's a point that Pak Nino said, while the centre may have ideas, the variety, the diversity across the country, it is really important to look locally and work with people locally. I think the other point, and Jeff showed a very powerful diagram this morning, which I have certainly shared within the Innovasi program of that learning system. So there's an ecosystemic and a systemic approach, trying to look at all the factors, not just one or two, looking at it very systematically. And then the fundamental idea there, if working with the partner districts, if solutions, local solutions can be found and be shown to work, then within that province or it can go to other districts, and we also see examples of it, going across other provinces. So that's my introduction to that. In my presentation, I just want to focus on 3 perspectives about using data, and these are in some ways the shift, a reflection on the shift that has taken place, and which also sets a direction for where I think things are going. Local bespoke data to national data, I'll unpack each of these, from a narrow to a more comprehensive view of using data, and then from a local to a more holistic view. I think the underlying thing here always is, though, those things are enabled by a sustained effort of developing skill and confidence to use data, and I think both of those are really important, that notion of the skill, but also the confidence. The discussion about work in districts and local government and others, whether it's the district government or the provincial government, looking to use these data to allocate things in an evidence-driven or data-driven process, I think is really important. And everyone's spoken about it, but I think also certainly what Innovasi's has been doing is to reinforce that. So let me just unpack those. The first one, way back in, it's almost in, 2017 to 19, back in the first phase of the program, with a focus on literacy and numeracy, the program came in to say, with that strong belief, if you don't know what they can currently do, you've got little chance of improving it. But in this case, what the program did, in collaboration, in consultation with the ministry and others, is to develop its own assessment instrument, this SLA, Student Learning Assessment. I recall, I think that was done in collaboration with ACR, and certainly ACR has been involved along the way. But it was one bespoke and local there to suit those needs. What we then find in using that, so in using that in those districts, and in case it was in a number of districts across 4 provinces, you can have a look there. There's, you find in that first year, that's across, on the left-hand side, it's 2 time periods, but looking at what's there, then working with the schools, the people in those schools to identify what the problem is, identify strategies, and then improve the teaching, improve the leadership, and the results can see as being improved. In the province, and this was Belungan province, if anyone, I've learned a lot about the geography of Indonesia, but right up in, I understand, up in North Kalimantan, up the top there, the Belungan province there, where the program started working with, from 7 schools to work within the districts to expand that to 146 schools, using the data, determining strengths and weaknesses and identifying areas to address it. So starting with the instrument used in a few, expanding it across, and in that time frame, certainly national assessment kicking in. And so we see this, this just as an image of this identification of starting in some districts and spreading out. And this is actually not my slide, it's one made in the province to talk about all the partners, all the people involved in the process. And I think this, while complex, reinforces the process where difference is being made, whether it's the examples we heard just previously from Pak Santoso that are there. The next phase, when you get to, and the data we've been seeing evidence of now, instead of just the local bespoke data, where it's probably has more resonance locally, and when you talk about what you did in response to it, you need to understand the context. But now, over the last 3 years, and the point was made earlier today that with the next round of data gets released next week publicly, but within the provinces and districts, they've been able to use that. So from that local and bespoke thing, we've now got a thing where we've got common instruments across, common assessment data, common reference points across the country. I think also as a DFAT funded program, Innovasi also notes that DFAT advocates, instead of a program coming in and just bringing its own data sets in, it advocates wherever possible that you use the data of the country. And I think that's been a strong point from the Ministry of Education here, that wherever the program can, they would prefer that the program uses the national data, and that's what's happening. The next one, this notion of from narrow to comprehensive. And by narrow, I'm not sure if narrow is the best term, but focusing just on literacy and numeracy. I mean, that's important, but if we don't actually zoom out from that and see a more comprehensive data set, we don't always understand the situation that's going on. And this is just a table, doesn't need to be read, but this is an example of some of the data that's now available to districts and provinces. This one in taking Jeff's framework earlier on, the top line is a district summary. The next 4 lines are looking at groups of students who are sort of in the top level, the second level, the third and the fourth level, and the red line in there, as always red lines do, it's the ones we need to focus on. And this is where then the district and the program working with the district, working with the other district professional development and other groups can hone in on that, and the program's focus is absolutely trying to shift those lower level numbers. But the program then has worked with and build the capacity, build the confidence, working with the district team, the BPMP, which is the district or the provincially located Ministry's Education Quality Assurance Unit, to come together to discuss the issues, to identify what the possible strategies are, put the budget, put the resources in place to respond to it. So over time, and we've heard evidence of it, where schools are all increasingly using common reference points, and again, the benefit of a national assessment, national program, people can share those strategies across the place. The next one, local to holistic. Here's an example of some data from a district, a province. I think these are districts down there. And the issue here is, if you have a look at these data here, if you have a look at the third bottom row, and you can see a year-to-year change of -1%, not a lot, but it stands out in that list. And the second bottom row, you can see an increase of 17.3%. And the interesting thing is what's going on there. Now, when you reach out to the other data sets, we find in the 17.3% increase, we find in that district a larger number of students saying they're feeling safe and confident at school. They're talking about the positive learning environment that's in the school, whereas the -1% is almost the reverse of that. So the discussion there if you looked at those, you could have a whole range of discussion about what's going on, but the data, that illustration of the school climate, what's going on in the school, focuses some attention maybe, and people can have a look at it. Equally, as we know in other places, these data sets can say, other districts can have a look and sort of say, well, how did you bring about this improvement in school climate? And it's not just literacy. If you have a look at these, as I go on here, the same 2 rows down the bottom, it's the same effect. There's a very small increase in the district where the school climate wasn't as good as we wanted it to be, and that significant increase in that other one. So it's happening in literacy and numeracy, but it's the focus, the data, the very comprehensive data that's there is illustrating, giving data where we can have a look at issues or challenges and have a look at a broader set of data. So just in summary, what I've tried to do is reinforce some of the discussion about the intention that everyone's talked about here, but some examples through the Innovasi program about how districts, with support from a program like Innovasi, but not dependent upon it, have been able to help look at these data, build the skill and capability, and as we see down the row here, we can see these data shifting around and the improvement coming. The challenge, I guess, that Nino pointed out this morning again is how then across the country that continue to grow? But there's certainly positive signs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you for all the speakers for presenting the idea, findings, and some of the perspective on the utilizations of national assessment. Now, at the time in front of me, there's a timing. We still have several minutes. And we are lucky actually that after that, on my schedule is a coffee breaks. So with your permission, I'm going to steal 5 or 10 minutes of your coffee breaks to address if there is some questions or opinion or perspective to all these presentations. I'm not going to use the time now, very valuable time to summarize something that I'm going to miss summarizing anyways, okay? Thank you. If you have any question, please raise your hand. 1, 2. Okay, we start with 2. 3. Okay.
Thanks and good afternoon. It's Mark Chetty from South Africa. Appreciation to the team. Fascinating work and very intriguing. My questions are around the word minimum, and there's been a lot of emphasis in the presentation across different speakers on the word minimum, but I'm not sure whether I missed it, and I apologize for it. The unpacking of what minimum competency means. You know, is it at a level that you are describing minimum competency? What is the threshold? Is it, you know, specific percentage, or is it linked to the items? Because you spoke about the core, and you know, those 12 items. Is the minimum linked to that? Because that affects then the interventions and your diagnosis of the root causes. So I wanted some further unpacking and clarification on what you are using and conceptualizing as minimum.
Okay, and you address the question specifically to?
Well, it's to the team. Anyone can
Okay,
answer.
to the team. So, all right. And excuse me, and your name, and you're from?
Mark Chetty, South Africa.
From South Africa. Thank you. Okay, let's take these first questions, and then we're going to follow with the second question. Maybe any of the presenter, Ibu Rahmawati?
Thank you for the question. So actually, we did the standard setting. So the minimum competency, actually we have 4 categories of achievement for literacy and numeracy. We have needs improvement, and then we have basic, we have good, and advanced. So what we call above the minimum competency is the 2 categories, which is advanced and good, while basic and its improvement still below the minimum competency. Unfortunately, this year we have conducted a research with ACER, the convergence between the national assessment and PISA. Our good still below the PISA level 2. But the way we conduct the standard setting in 2021, that we have one set of tests, like exactly what the student look during the test, and then we define the description of needs improvement, basic, good, and advanced. And we do the ENGOV standard setting procedures where we ask teachers and also stakeholders from the elementary school and then secondary school and high school to sit together. And we do it in 3 provinces, 6 cities, to give the representative of our condition across Indonesia. And based on our description, what is exactly about needs improvement, all the panelists of the standard setting tick mark all the items, whether this group examinee can do it correct or wrong. And then we got the cut-off scores from the each category level. So actually what we did is the criterion reference test, not based on the norm reference. So we can see like the percentage of the student above the minimum competency will changing because it's not based on the cohort ability, but based on the criterion category.
Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Rahmawati. Second questions?
Yeah, thank you, Pak Urip. My name is Budi from IPB University. Before my question to Pak Irsyad, I have opinion and comment about the assessment data. So far, based on my observation, if we are talking about this data, we are still playing about the statistical descriptive, right? About playing about average, yeah? Comparison between average from year to year, 2001, 2003, and then between district, between province, and so on. We know that this data actually very important, and I believe that this data is very interesting for researchers, yeah? And also very expensive, because we know that the data is panel data, as well as also the nested data, right? Historical data, right? So until now, we haven't analyzed about why, yeah, why the literacy and numeracy high or low, yeah? What is the independent variable affect to the literacy and numeracy? Although actually we have many independent variables for that. So I believe that, I think all of researchers are very happy what Pa Nino mentioned this morning, that the data can be accessed, yeah, can be assessed by, will be open for researchers. Because with this data, I think researchers can analyze about with mixed model analysis, or we can answer about what is the variable can affect the literacy or numeracy. This is the first opinion. The second question is, the first question is to Pa Irsyad. So far, we are talking about the trend, you know, trend between 2021, 2022, and 2023. But I haven't heard about how many % of schools, in individual of schools, yeah, having trends decrease, status quo, or increase, yeah. Because I think this is also very important information. We don't just talk about district. Yeah? It could be literacy and numeracy can be affected by schools level. It could be also affected by district as well as also by household. If any information, this is just a question. If you have an analysis, it's no problem. It could be we can analyze it after the data already opened by public. Thank you, Pak.
Okay, and you direct the second question to?
No, just only one.
The second question you directed to?
To Pak Irsyad.
No, both to Pak Irsyad. Okay.
Probably to Pak Irsyad.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Pak Irsyad.
Thank you, Pak Budi, for the questions, but I'm not sure whether I can answer it right now. I mean, because you asked about the specific percentage of the data in the last question. We can, of course, we can deep dive later and share with you about the data, Pak Budi, and also we can also run the analysis together as we always did. Regarding the first questions, I think we already did last year. We've run some analysis on the correlation between number of variables in the national assessment data. Yeah, we publish it on our website. So we have two publications on national assessment analysis. The first national assessment. The first one is about the, I forgot what is the title, but it's regarding how the the good teaching practices looks like and how does it affect learning. So we compare the we analyze the comparison between or the correlation between the Sulingjar indicators and the national assessment indicators, the AKM indicator. What is it, AKM? Literacy and numeracy test indicators. So we run the correlation analysis and some regression, I think, to show how the teaching practices, what kind of teaching practices that affect students' learning outcome. That's the thing that we have analyzed, and it's already available on our website. And the second one is about the resilient schools. So we know that not all of our, as I mentioned earlier, we have disparity in our system regarding the learning outcomes, but especially the most disadvantaged is the most suffer, yeah. But we found some schools, some disadvantaged schools from the lowest socioeconomic status that perform better than average schools. So they meet the minimum competency level. So these schools from the lower socioeconomic backgrounds are meeting the minimum competency level. And we identify these schools, we run the analysis correlating their teaching practices, school climates, and the learning outcomes. And also we conducted qualitative data collection to these schools in some of the remote districts to see and to observe how they perform their teaching in the classroom, how the teachers are running the daily learning activities, how the principals are leading the schools, yeah, the administration and the encouragement of their teachers to do the self-development, self-professional development, and so forth. So this analysis is also available on our website. So, but as Pak Budi mentioned, the national assessment data is very, very rich data. So I believe all of the researchers here are looking forward to seeing the data and to working with the data, and we can also work together between the researcher from the universities or for other research institutes with our ministry to run the analysis, to evaluate our policies, and to inform the better policy for our education. Terima kasih, Pak Budi.
Okay, thank you very much. The third, please. That's a mic.
Thank you, Chair. Anil Kanji from South Africa. Let me also just appreciate the speakers and for sharing some really interesting and exciting work you did. And I'm particularly pleased that the work you're doing on equity issues is foreground in a lot of your research. And the question is posed to the last two speakers. How do you, can you expand a little on how you clarify the pedagogical meaning of the scores so the teachers understand some of its practical implications? And related to that, is the data presented in a manner that allows for application to individual students, or is it only at group level? And what are the pros and cons of those two uses? Does it make sense?
I think a point right at the end there, I think the data isn't at the student level because the data is collected from a sample of students from all schools. So I think the closest, I understand the closest point of reference is the school. So it's a number of students drawn from that school, and people here knowing better than me could remind us of all the selection process, but it's not down to the individual student level. So they're looking at then, I imagine then, and again, the focus that certainly that I've seen is focus certainly from the program's point of view is to work with the people at the district to be able to, because the program's not working with all the schools, it's working to build the capacity of people in the district to say, let's have a look at these data, let's identify what's going on, to work with them to bring teachers or principals or some of the professional development groups to come together. So how strong that direct link from the data to here is, you know, which I think is behind your question. But certainly if you unpack the data, you can get into some of the, I mean, the averages sometimes will just sort of aggregate up, and they, if we can break down, and there was an example of breaking down some of the subjects by some of the strands or the elements of it, so you can break down whether numeracy, number is better than geometry, which is better than data. So you can break down to that level. And then the question then is talking with teachers to, I think, imagine getting them to reflect upon their practice and to talk about different strategies they've got. So I think that's the level that I understand. Start with the district, look at the data, work with some of the professional development coordinators to talk with the teachers to see where, so where the data is pointing to, and then see and work with them to reflect upon and improve their practice. Hakdino this morning talked about a whole range of resources that are coming out, and that will continue to come. So as people, there's a lot of units of work on the websites and like to help with teachers. So that's the direction that I understand. Certainly the program's coming, and I understand is in other places. Your question of the pedagogical meaning of the data, I think that's a discussion that people are going on. I know I've had a conversation with someone at a university talking about if we want to improve mathematics. Well, there's two things. There is either subject knowledge, content knowledge, and there's pedagogical knowledge. And it was interesting after that discussion, they actually did an assessment of the mathematical knowledge of these trainee teachers. And they came very clear what an immediate problem was there. So they've started addressing that. So I think it's a work in progress. But again, what I'd want to reinforce on that in the previous question, this is outstanding, I think, in terms of these data they've got to reflect upon and build the capacity, that reflective practice, in order to drive improvement. So I'd want to congratulate that. It's an informed discussion. It can go further, absolutely.
Pak Santoso, do you have a take on this? Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Does that answer your question? Okay, thank you. All right, we actually 2 minutes past of our extended allocated time. So I'm sorry that I think I will have to close the question and answers. Dear all participants and distinguished guests, in this symposiums, we are discussing about the utilizations of the national assessment. First, we learned about what it is a national assessment from Ibu Dr. Asrijanty, that actually what being assessed in the national assessment, and that this national assessment is conducted to all the schools, to the whole populations, but in each of the school, we take sample of student. So the sample of student from all the school and the idea of national assessment. The second presenter in this symposium, Dr. Rahmawati, is kind of explaining, describing the delivery of the national assessment, especially underlining the methods, just because the average score is so different, distribution is different, so the assessment was delivered to in the form of multi-stage adaptive testing. So there's a chunk of items divided into a different path. You got the idea. She presented the picture. So now we got the information what is national assessment, who assess, what's being assessed, how it is delivered. And our third presenters present starting to how to take the meaning of the national assessment the in the perspective of emancipated curriculum. It was presented the increase of literacy and then narrowing the gap between regions, lowering the gap between social economic status, and also the participations in emancipated curriculum that goes from 0.7% to 82% these years. And that also, based on the national assessment data, some conclusion can be drawn. For example, better progress in literacy and numeracy. And the longer the school adopted the emancipated curriculum, the better the result and the progress. Okay, our fourth presenters talk about a case study in Pasuruan in supporting using a national assessment data, supporting the local government by examining the report card, the planning, the budget allocation for each activity, and led by the early childhood education interventions. Yeah, okay. And our last, the gong of the symposium, present quite a unique perspective, which is presenting to utilize the result of national assessment with a perspective from local to national, from narrow to comprehensive, and from specific to holistic. And also to look this from local to provincial and things like that. We also have a comment and question from the audience, 3 questions. One is asking about the minimum competency and was answered. This is actually a criterion-based interpretations that the score was established after the criterion was established. The second, I think, is from Pak Budi. It's a very, it's actually forwarding an idea of what kind of research that can also be done beside all of what has been presented when we have the national data. And last idea and question from Anil from the South Africa is, one of them is just asking how to define pedagogical meaning of the number in that, and also the meaning of the score. I think that's what has been discussed in this one. What stand out is also, there's one question, I think from Budi. Do we have a model of what variables affect things or explanatory variables explaining the result, with the school being the unit analysis, for example? We can see the trend. He suggested that how many school increase, how many schools in status quo, how many schools decrease in the student competence. Okay, I think we got all the question covers, and I think we are looking forward to the release, as mentioned by the release of national assessment data. And that way, then many people can contribute analyzing the data, of course, for the betterness of the quality of education in Indonesia. Thank you very much to all the presenters. We give a round of applause to all the presenters. And thank you very much to all of you. A very wonderful symposium. Hope everybody can take an advantage and raise an idea on how to utilize a national assessment data that's soon going to be released. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you so much to the hosts and presenters. Of course, please remain on stage. Bapak Ibu, please remain on stage for a token of appreciation. We would like to call Deputy CEO, ACR, Mr. Ralph Subern, to give the token of appreciation to all the hosts and also presenters. I would like to call Bapak Urip to please give the token of appreciation to the presenters. And please take a photo together to the center of the stage. Boleh agak sedikit ke tengah Bapak Ibu untuk berfoto bersama. Look at the main camera in 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You may return to your seat. And also, ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded the International Conference on Assessment and Learning Day 1. We had thoughtful discussions and rich insights from all of our honorable speakers. On behalf of the committee, we would like to thank all of our guests, moderators, and speakers for your attendance and for your participation today. You may now enjoy your coffee and tea served at the foyer area. After the coffee break, we invite all presenting participants to join breakout room. I'm Cheryl Marella. Thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow on day number 2.